There's good, there's bad, there's ugly, and then there's Syracuse women's lacrosse tonight against Boston College. A 17-2 loss to end the regular season for the Orange. And tonight, there's no other way to put it. It was just not Syracuse's night. They could not get anything going on offense. They could not stop anything on defense. And it's a really kind of poor way to end the season. And it just hasn't been a great season. But we'll break everything down for you here on Orange Press Pass, starting right now. Welcome in Orange Press Pass. I'm Adam Cohen, joined by Rahill, Jaiswal, and Milo, Hoffman, and we're breaking down Syracuse women's lacrosse's 17-2 loss to Boston College tonight. And gentlemen, there's no way to sugarcoat this. It was just not a good game for Syracuse. Rahill, what are your first thoughts?
Well, you just touched on it right there, and it's... Yikes, was that bad? My God, 17-2, yeah. Milo. I mean, we knew Syracuse was not having the best of seasons, and Boston College is looking primed to repeat and go back-to-back for the first time ever. But 17-2, a running clock already in the third quarter? My God, was this a disaster in any way you look at it.
Now, Rahill, I'm on your level right there. It was yikes, but I was surprised, not shocked. Yeah. Do you see Syracuse's last game against Virginia Tech?
You were there.
I was there. They lost to a team that just snuck into the ACC tournament. Now you go against Boston College, one of the best teams in the country, a sure contender title. So who knows? I think Syracuse is one of the, they were all over the place there to start off the game, and it just continued out throughout the entirety.
Well, we'd be robbing you guys if we didn't show you the highs from tonight's game, or we might be saving you some time depending on how you look at your time. But let's roll the tape from CBA. And this one didn't even start off right for the Orange. They lose the first draw control, and off we are running. They screwed up a quick, they gave Boston College a quick penalty and a quick free position. And Rahill, what can you say about those freebies?
Well, I mean, when you give the best offense in the country free position shots, I mean, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage, especially when you start like this. Syracuse cannot sniff any possession and were not effective at all to start the game.
When you start off so slow against Boston College, it's so hard to come back. Like I said, one of the best teams in the country. When you're kicking yourself in the foot, it makes it even harder. They know how to play against teams, and they're kicking themselves. BC does, and they showed it tonight.
Kicking yourself in the foot, shooting yourself in the foot. It doesn't matter how you look at it. Syracuse couldn't use their feet tonight, and there's Rachel Clark again putting it behind Syracuse, and that's all Rachel Clark did tonight. She scored again, shutting down just about everybody, including Emma Ward, who is going to break the assist record tonight, but she was held scoreless.
I mean, Adam, if you told me before this game that Emma Ward wouldn't break the assist record for Syracuse, I would have been shocked. And it didn't happen because it seemed like every time she got the ball, she was instantly double-teamed or triple-teamed.
Well, Milo, you just put it that way. Ever since Olivia Adamson has gone down this season, the main focal point has been double-team Emma Ward, and it's just been a disaster.
Double team her, triple team her, it doesn't matter. Nobody else was able to score. And once again, you see Rachel Clark continuing to slice through Syracuse. She just kept scoring and drowning Syracuse.
I mean, this is what the best players in the country do, and Rachel Clark surely showed it tonight. 9 points.
Now, it's the second straight week that Syracuse has given up at least 7 goals to an opposing attacker. Last time, it was Lauren Render for Virginia Tech. So the star player on the other side for Syracuse has caused them fits, like it should, but really big fits.
It absolutely should, and there you have it, a 17-2 loss for Syracuse tonight. And again, there will never be another way to slice a game like this. This is your final game of the regular season. This is a rivalry, supposedly, against Boston College, and Syracuse just came out flat, stayed flat, and ended flatter.
The one chance Syracuse had in today's game was getting off to a quick start. None of that.
It felt like it was over before it started. I don't know about you guys, sitting down to watch this one, I was like, all right, Syracuse may have a chance. No, instantly shot in the foot, and it was over.
And that it was, and we are now joined by Jake Klein on the field at Christian Brothers Academy here in Syracuse. And Jake, I don't know how you were able to sit and watch that entire game. It was really just a tough one for Syracuse. But I want to know from you what Boston College's defense specifically did to shut down SU.
Well, you look at the numbers, Adam, and Syracuse wasn't outshot that badly in tonight's game by Boston College. The difference was Shea Dolce, who's unquestionably one of the best goalies in the nation coming into this game, and she showed why tonight with her 12 saves. Syracuse just could not get anything by Dolce. They didn't have a ton of possessions, but the shots were there from Syracuse. A couple were at point-blank range, and Dolce just saved them. She slid a couple of times on her knees to her left, one right in front of us from Caroline Trinkus, and it's just, wow, how does she make that save? Time and time and time again for a whole game, and that's how you get the lowest scoring Syracuse Orange game in program history.
Yeah, Jay, good to see you. Syracuse was down 10-0 at the half. I'm wondering, what was the body language like for a team that maybe was trying to come in with a lot of energy, and all of a sudden you find yourself 10-0 down at the half? What was the body language like from SU's team and Kayla Trainer on the sidelines?
Well, Rahill, I know you know what that body language looked like because you were in these shoes witnessing a Syracuse women's lacrosse loss to Boston College 3 times last year. But yeah, it was dejected from Syracuse as they walked off the field toward the locker room here at CBA. Kayla Trainer actually gathered Daniela Guyette, the goalie, and Emma Ward, the star attacker, and kind of tried to give them a pep talk and get them to rally the troops a little bit, but ultimately it was just not enough. This was a pretty good crowd here at Christian Brothers Academy. The entire home grandstand, which is pretty large, about 30-yard line to 30-yard line on the gridiron, was full. The entire smaller grandstand on the far side, full. But BC came out so hot, it just really took the energy out of Syracuse as a team and the crowd.
Hey, Jake, hope you're doing well over there at CBA, a couple miles down the road from us, or having as much fun as you possibly could on a night like this. This is the regular season finale for Syracuse, so I want to see your thoughts. What are you thinking after this, horrid season? Really, it was a struggle all season long for the Orange.
Well, it'll bring up an ACC tournament matchup with Stanford on Wednesday night, Milo. That will be a rematch of one of the highlights of that regular season for Syracuse, a double overtime win over the Cardinal, 12-11 at the Dome. Look, is it the record that Syracuse women's lacrosse has become accustomed to over the last decade? No, nobody's questioning that. 7 regular season losses has to be as many as they have in well over 10 years. And so, is it the record they want? No, of course not. But look, the NCAA Tournament Selection Committee came out with their top 10 rankings today. Remember, those are the only people whose rankings matter, and they've got Syracuse at 9. That's one spot away, not just from making the tournament, but from hosting a tournament game. And so, look, Syracuse is fine. Win or lose in that ACC tournament, I think they're getting into the NCAA tournament. Maybe they have to travel, but look, for a team that's so young and gets so much contribution from freshmen and sophomores who haven't played, they're going to be okay. They're going to get postseason experience, and they're going to come back with much of the same core next season and probably get a little bit better, and then a little bit better. And all of a sudden, I think Syracuse is right back in the national conversation. It just might take a year or two.
Really appreciate you coming on, Jake, and way to bright side this for a team that just really did not show up on their final night of the regular season. And we appreciate you again joining us and taking some time out of your night to come on our Orange Press Pass show. But when we return, me and the boys at the desk are going to really sink our teeth into this loss and see what we can drum up to put a positive spin on it, maybe keep it a little negative, maybe just keep it real. Don't change the channel. We'll be right back. Welcome back into our Waverly Avenue studios. I'm Adam Cohen, that's Rahill Jaiswal, and that is Milo Hoffman. And we're still breaking down Syracuse's regular season ending 17-2 loss to Boston College. And we really got to start with where this game started. And it was not a good start. SU was down 7-0 after the first and shut out in the entire first half. They were down 10-0 going into halftime. And Rahill, what can you say about that rough start?
Well, I mean, again, we've talked about this, and I just touched on this earlier. The one chance Syracuse had in this game at pulling off an upset, Milo, was starting quick. Yeah. And you fall behind 7-0 early, and that's a tough deficit to come back against any team, let alone Boston College, let alone when you just lost to Virginia Tech. It all compounded on each other. SU never got into this game. Their confidence was shot before they had any chance of getting into this game.
Yeah, exactly, Rahill. You had to come out strong against Boston College, and Syracuse just flat out did not do it. And the turnovers was one thing that stood out to me. 6 turnovers in the first quarter. So they were giving one of the best teams in the country free chances on the offensive end. And then when SU was on the woman up, they looked lethargic. They looked dead. They looked like they weren't going to take advantage of an opportunity that they were given, because Boston College, you look at the stats, didn't actually dominate in every single category, but it was
pretty
a little
even for a game like
pretty
even for a game like this.
Pretty even. It kind of shook me after looking at the box score, Adam. I was like, wait, it's actually not that different.
You wouldn't have expected this game to be that even. 11 shots to 14 shots, 9 turnovers to 8 turnovers. When you look at the actual box score, you're sitting here going, oh, this isn't that bad, but they were down 10-0.
Especially the draw controls. I mean, Syracuse has struggled with draw controls all season. You only lose the battle by 1?
Yeah.
And you're down 10-0?
And that's a top draw control specialist in the country with Boston College. And somehow Syracuse was able to keep it kind of neck and neck for a while. But the 3 players that really destroyed Syracuse, quite frankly, tonight: Rachel Clark, Emma Pinto, McKenna Davis. Ladies, take a bow, pat yourselves on the back. You did incredible tonight. 12 goals and 9 assists for BC's Big 3. And Milo, what can you say about that Big 3 and what they did to Syracuse tonight?
LeBron, Bosch, Wade, and I'm comparing them to this. How could you not? I mean, I'm looking at the Division I leaders this year in total points. Coming into this season, Emma Pinto at number 1. You got Clark at number 3, and then McKenna Davis at number 6. That's all on the same team for Boston College. They absolutely dominated. 12 combined goals for them, Rahill. How can you stop that?
I mean, it was unbelievable, and you touched on it. Coming into this game, Rachel Clark was number 1 in points. Emma Pinto joined her in the top 10. McKenna Davis was just outside at 12, but only by 2 points. All of them, all seniors, all experienced on the attack, just completely tearing apart anything this Syracuse defense had. And Daniela Gayet didn't even play that bad. Just nothing you can do when your defense is not helping you and you got to face these 3.
So you mentioned that those 3 are seniors, and that's really important because it's very clear Syracuse is at this point a young team without Adamson, and when you shut Emma Ward down like Boston College did tonight, Syracuse is a young and inexperienced team. And when you have a Big 3 that is so, not just experienced, but so game-worn and they know what they are doing, this is what happens, quite frankly. You have 3 girls combined to put up 12 goals and 9 assists, and they ran the table tonight, and that's just how it works. But I want to dip into Syracuse's discipline, because early on, we've mentioned it, they gave Boston College a lot of freebies. They gave Boston College, in total, 5 freebies tonight, and BC converted. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do with those free positions. And Rahill, what can you tell me about those freebies?
Well, I mean, it's the equivalent to taking candy from a baby. I mean, it's just like, there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, you're leaving Daniela Gayet on an island there. She's had an unbelievable season, top 5 when it comes to save percentage and total saves. But I mean, you can't give the best team in the country, Milo, free chances, because they're called free position shots for a reason. They're going to take the free position shots.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about Daniela Gayet a little bit there. She's been good for Syracuse all year long.
Great, yeah.
And there's only so much you can do as a goalie in women's lacrosse because it's such a hard position to play. She did the best she could. You got to take advantage of the little thing, the draw control. I can't remember the last time Syracuse won in the draw control battle, so it's been a struggle in all the little things for SU.
And we're coming to our player of the game now, and this shouldn't be a shock to anybody who watched. It's Rahill Clark, who had 8 goals and 1 assist, and she was just absolutely fantastic. Dipping, ducking, and dodging anything that she needed to do. She was scoring from left, from right, up, down, whatever you may mean, she was putting the ball in the net. And it was just really impressive to watch her completely eat a Syracuse defense that has played well this season. This is not a bad Syracuse team. It's not up to the standard, but what Rahill Clark did tonight was an absolute masterclass. There is no other way to put it. And combined with the rest of Boston College, they just owned Syracuse tonight, and it makes for a really tough game. But Rahill Clark, congratulations. You are our Orange Press Pass player of the game. Again, 8 goals and 1 assist. 8 goals is just absolutely fantastic. But we're going to take another break here, and when we come back, we are going to continue breaking down this just tough Syracuse women's lacrosse loss to Boston College. Stick around. We will be right back.
Hey Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
Welcome back to Orange Press Pass. I'm still Adam Cohen, he's still Rahill Jaiswal, and he's still Milo Hoffman, and Syracuse still did not get the win tonight against Boston College. A 17-2 loss, and while we've really enjoyed breaking things down for women's lacrosse at Syracuse, let's take a look around the hill. We've got tennis, we've got softball, we've got men's lacrosse, and tennis actually had quite a good week.
Yeah, how about the upset win over Clemson? You started the week with a win against Boston College, but unfortunately against Georgia Tech, things came crashing down. Gutted for our good friend and our photog tonight, Drew Alba, but tough one.
I was talking to Drew. He was excited live tweeting those games down in Cary, North Carolina, but the upset wasn't in store for Syracuse tennis. I want to focus on that Syracuse men's lacrosse game versus Duke. This is a big one for SU coming off that loss to number 1 Cornell last weekend. It's a statement one. Can they win and beat number 12 Duke, who's a good squad, but good thing for them, they don't have to go against Brendan O'Neill anymore. He's torched them over
They don't have to go against Brendan O'Neill or Jake Naso or any of the other Duke Blue Devils who have tormented Syracuse for years past. And this is a big game for Syracuse because of the ACC tournament implications. You win this one, you're in.
Yeah.
No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And you're 3-0 in ACC play, which for Syracuse is spectacular. I also want to focus a little bit on softball. They've got 2 games this weekend, a doubleheader against Albany, and that's pretty impressive for Syracuse. They've had a really good season
so
actually.
far.
But we're going to take a look now around the NCAA at women's college lacrosse. And in the top left, you can see Notre Dame, an absolute beatdown of Louisville.
Yeah, I mean, I look at Notre Dame. They're a good team. You don't want to play around with them come tournament time. Number 13 Stanford picking up a dominant win over Cal. I remember back when Syracuse played Stanford, that double overtime game against them inside the dome. They destroyed Cal because they're not very good. That could be an opponent coming up for Syracuse in the ACC
And how
tournament.
about North Carolina? Foot gas, all gas. No breaks.
Foot on neck, whatever you want to say.
Only team to beat Boston College this year. Those teams are looking like the perennial 1 and 2. You got Northwestern there at 3. I'm telling you, those 3 teams might be a step above everybody because of their history. And good UNC, after an off year last year, they are back.
So from the NCAA, let's come back to Syracuse here. And this is the 8th straight loss to Boston College, whether that's regular season or postseason. Can Syracuse beat BC?
I mean, I don't know. It doesn't look
Subjective
like
question
it doesn't
now.
seem like they can, because this has turned into something where it's a kind of a big sister, little sister relationship where, Charlie Brown's pulling the football out and Syracuse just cannot catch a break. Doesn't matter how well they play, where they play, or when they play. When Syracuse and Boston College meet, it's going to be the Eagles coming out with the victories. I thought Syracuse's best chance at getting them was 2 years ago at SU Soccer Stadium when they were undefeated. They were perfect, but we all knew coming into this one, guys, this was not going to be much of a competition. I actually joked that, there'll be a running clock by halftime. It was!
There was.
It was!
Well, Rahill, in order to have a rivalry, you got to have two good teams.
There you go.
In my book, 8 straight losses at the hands of Boston College. I look back to just last year's game against BC in the NCAA tournament semifinals. 10-7. Even that was much closer for them. And you look at this right here, a couple matchups against BC. There are 8 straight losses to them. 17-2, the most recent 10-7 there. They've been close, though, throughout the board.
So Kayla Trainer got here to Syracuse at about the same time I showed up at Syracuse. Yeah. And since then, we both have the same number of wins over Boston College. I got 0, and Kayla Trainer has 0. You can see all the way back to 2021, Boston College has just been the devil dancing against Syracuse. And what's so interesting to me is so many people paint this as a rivalry. And look, every year this is 2 good teams. This isn't like where you have the Mets and Braves and the Mets are on an off year, or you have the Mets Yankees where, the Yankees big brother, the Mets any day of the week. Yeah. That's not what this rivalry is. This is 2 top programs in women's college lacrosse, and one of them just can't seem to get it done.
I don't know if it's a mental block at this point, to the point where Syracuse and Kayla Trainer is putting more pressure on themselves, given that Kayla Trainer was an assistant there, and she cannot seem to beat her former employer.
No, she really can't, and it's really, really just insane. But let's take a full season recap here. Let's sort of, as a doctor would say, check up on things.
Yeah, I don't have a stethoscope.
Syracuse did not have the season they were expecting coming into the year. Again, they are a perennial top program, but this year, not so much, right, Milo?
Oh, yeah, definitely not. Syracuse, like you said, a perennial top program. Not much this season, though. And honestly, if we're going to the doctor room, if we're going to the classroom, I'm going to give them a D+. That's my grade for Syracuse. I think it's unfair to completely lash out on them because, look, they're missing tons of key players. Olivia Adamson out for the year. Emma Tyrell, gone. Kate Mashevsky, gone. Delaney Schweitzer, the goalie from last year, gone. It's a rebuilding time for Syracuse women's lacrosse. It's unfair to completely lash out to them. Not that a D+ is a good grade. I would be mad, if I was in the classroom getting a D+. But for this time and age, I think going below that is a little bit unfair. I don't know what you got, Rahill, though.
I'm going to channel my geometry teacher when I was a freshman in high school, when she looked at me after my first exam. F! It's an F on this season. This is supposed to be a perennial contender. You don't rebuild, you reload. That's what's supposed to be the message. And it was an absolutely horrid season from top to bottom. A complete disaster. I'm not someone who takes
the players that they had out there?
And
it's unfair to judge a team like that when you got no one out there. It's a rebuilding time.
So you still have with the winning record. You still have Emma Ward. She's pretty good.
Yeah.
Daniela Gayette finished top 5 in the ACC when it comes to goals. You've got some good players. You had a top 10 recruit in Alexa Vogelman. Ashley Volpe was healthy after tearing her ACL
But you got to give him some time. Alexa Vogelman was out all of last season. She didn't get much action for Syracuse. You got to give the time for the new core to come up.
I understand it's difficult with the core, but the program that this team has built themselves on is one that is supposed to be competing for a national championship. Not winning one because they haven't won one yet, but it's an F for me. An F for me.
I really appreciate the energy that you bring to that discussion. And it's true. This has just not been Syracuse's year, but you make some good points. The players they do have did not perform this season, and that's just going to lead you to losses. It's really unfortunate. But we've got one more block right after this break. We will join you on the other side.
Did you hear about the pony with a sore throat? He was a little horse. Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding. Why couldn't the Why was the basketball court all wet? Why? Because the players kept dribbling all over it. Where did cats go on vacation? New York.
For the final time tonight, welcome back into Orange Press Pass. Adam Cohen, Rahill, Jaiswal, Milo, Hoffman, still breaking down Syracuse's season-ending loss to Boston College, 17-2. And we're going to take a look now at the ACC standings. And Boston College is in second in the ACC, so you kind of, I would say you want to take this loss with a grain of salt, but you're taking it with the entire shaker.
Yeah, but as for much as I've been negative about Syracuse, you finished 6th in the ACC thanks to a couple of big wins you got earlier in the season. Right now, it's looking like it's going to be a matchup against Stanford, a rematch of the double overtime game that they managed to win.
That will be a fun one, like we said inside the Dome a couple months ago, that double overtime win against Stanford. But there's such a difference between those top two teams in North Carolina and Boston College and everyone else. It's almost like a clump. I see Pittsburgh, Virginia Tech, Virginia as very similar teams. Syracuse play close ones against all three of those, and the top two, UNC and BC, are just in a world of their own.
They really are just a complete class of their own. North Carolina is 14-0 this season, and they look like the undisputed favorites to take home the trophy when all is said and done. But I'm sure Boston College and Northwestern are going to give them a run for their money, just like we expect Duke to give Syracuse a run for its money this weekend down in Durham for men's lacrosse. We're flipping back for our next Orange Press Pass. That'll be Saturday at 5 p.m. The game starts at 2 p.m. And Rahill, Syracuse has got to get this one done, right?
It's going to be a big, they're going in search of a big bounce back. In particular, Jimmy McCool had one of his worst games of the season against Cornell, had been rock solid since the Harvard game till that point. So going to be interesting how McCool responds.
Well, Rahill, you're looking at Jimmy McCool. I'm looking at Joey Spallina coming off a subpar game against Cornell, another big one against the Blue Devils, a conference foe. Syracuse always wants to take down the Blue Devils. Joey Spallina got to come up big in Durham.
So we've been, some would probably say, negative on this show, but I'm going to give my analysts one more opportunity to sound off on this Syracuse women's lacrosse team.
In sports, everyone loves rivalries, and a lot of people think of Syracuse and Boston College as a rivalry. But I'm here to tell you, as of now, this is not a rivalry because one team keeps on winning. 8 straight victories for the Eagles, another dominant victory today. It doesn't matter when these teams play, where they play, what time, Boston College comes out on top. They could play in Antarctica on the ice, they could play on a cabbage patch, somewhere else. The Eagles are going to find a way to beat Syracuse. It has become a pretty much one team kicking another team when they're down. You cannot have a rivalry when only one team is winning. If Syracuse wants this to be a rivalry, they better beat them the next time they see the Eagles.
Well, Rahill, as much as I want to get as heated as you are right now, lash out on Syracuse, I have to do something more important. Our wonderful host, Adam Cohen, is hosting his final show here at CitrusTV. And Adam, you've just done such a wonderful job at this station. A producer, a sports director, the amount of time that you've put in is just truly amazing. You've done so much for me, for everyone at this station. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Oh, thank you guys. This is spectacular. This was not expected, and some of these pictures I don't remember taking, but wow, they are really just interesting photos, and I really appreciate the kind words, guys. CitrusTV means the absolute world to me. It was an honor and a privilege to serve as the sports director here last year, and I cannot believe just how far this station has come in the 4 years that I have been here. We have accomplished such incredible things. You two are a massive part of that, as are the rest of the executive producers, associate producers, and everybody else that I have had the blessing of working with over the past 4 years. I am so incredibly thankful for what we've gotten to do here at CitrusTV. And this is not about me, it's about the people that have made this moment. So thank you guys again so much. And that will do it for tonight. Syracuse women's lacrosse loses 17-2 to Boston College. Adam Cohen, Rahill, Jaiswal, Milo, Hoffman. Good night.